Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Part of the reason that I decided to go back to the dating world was that I found life completely unaffordable as a single individual, and it's getting worse and worse as I get older. I want to say. Uh, so, for example, I obviously only have one set of hands, right? Only one income, or at least only one person providing the income. Sometimes I have two incomes, but that just takes away time from other things that I want to be doing. And the opportunity costs of trying to get out of this is just insane, right? So, sometimes I might shack up with somebody, with a roommate, but that comes with its own can of worms too, right? Roommates sometimes clash over various personality issues or differences in ways of life. I talked about one time I shared a house with a few other people, and we basically had the house rules that everybody had to hide their toilet paper, their kitchen utensils, or it might just disappear. That's just really frustrating. It's dysfunctional. It doesn't seem like a home when you have to do that. That's more like a jail, right? Even in a jail cell, I don't think cellmates would hide those things from each other, right? They would probably have a better system than doing that, right? And it's just very dehumanizing, right? And it is, so that's when I decided I had to return to the dating world. The last straw was I had just recovered from COVID-19 during a heat wave. That whole experience was really dehumanizing. It was bad enough that I had to recover from that, but I just did. And then one day I opened my mail to get my car insurance premiums, and they had almost doubled since the beginning of the pandemic. And that's when I realized that really blew the circuits on trying to maintain a single life. It really did. It was like the circuit breakers had tripped. And then I decided to return to the dating world, and I wasn't very successful at getting that first date. But once I got it, it was like the floodgates had opened. It really felt like that. But here we are a few months later, and I come to realize that, wait a minute, I still have to, when the car insurance premiums come in February, I'm still going to be dealing with that alone. I still have to cook most of my meals. And wait a minute, now I got all the opportunity costs of dating. Now, granted, the people I've been dating have not been very high maintenance, but there's inherent opportunity costs to dating, right? It takes time, it takes mental energy. For the first time in my life, I'm actually thinking about how to dress up. It's funny, as a professor, I often don't dress very well, right? I was just watching a movie about the Unabomber, and he was not very socially well, even worse than I am. And sometimes I feel like I dress like how they reenacted it, at least. And I identify a lot with the Unabomber. He and I both spent some time living in the same part of the country, and we have some similar views. I wouldn't go bombing people, though, right? Although I do bomb people metaphorically sometimes, right? Not physically. But for the first time, I'm actually thinking about it. I'm like, wait a minute. I still have all of these single issues, and now I got a date, and I got to get over that curve, and that's been really, really, really challenging for me. If I could go back in time, I wish I had started earlier. But you know what? I didn't plant that tree 20 years ago. Maybe I need to plant it today. I sometimes have to remind myself that. But when I did the calculation, uh, had I done this earlier and settled down when I was 25, between 25 and now, I would have had an extra 10 tons of bismuth. And it's just really upsetting to see all the difference. I'll have to show you guys the calculation of how I landed on that number. But just all the little things. And, every time I complain, oh, this happens because I'm single, people think, oh, it's not a big deal. So you pay what, 10% more for car insurance or whatever it is. So you have to learn how to cook. And people think the problem is that it never happens in isolation. Not only are there many things that get put together, right? They might pay 10% more for the car insurance. You got to cook your own meals. You got one income. But they tend to not only add, they tend to multiply in some ways. For example, I have to have a roommate, but then because I have a roommate, I have to hide my kitchen utensils. It's distracting. It affects my workplace performance. It doesn't make me sleep very well, thinking that my kitchen utensils are going to disappear. You can see how the disadvantages don't just add, they sometimes multiply together. You got less money for car because you have to pay the car insurance premiums. Now you got to work the second job, which might be a longer commute. Oh, now you're driving more miles and your car insurance just multiplied again, right? A lot of times these disadvantages have a tendency to multiply across each other, not just add. But and then on top of, if that wasn't enough, it takes a big investment to jump out of this hole, right? But anyway, okay. Just please continue to pray that this works out by leaving a dislike on this video. Unfortunately, any moment now I could be getting the car insurance premiums. They usually send out the bill a month before the renewal date, which is February. It's funny why I paid my car insurance in August and February. I got into an accident in August of 2016, and so after the accident had expired in August of 2019 from my report, I switched insurance companies to save a little bit of money, and I actually switched to Geico. I called Geico on the very anniversary of that act. I couldn't wait to get that off of my chest. And so, as an artifact of that, every year on the anniversary of the accident, I'm reminded by the bill. In August, it's the anniversary. And then the accident happened August 19th. And just around Valentine's Day, I get reminded about the disadvantage of being single. So each of those bills is really painful to see now, right? It's just really funny. Maybe I should switch insurance again just so I don't have to get reminded. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum, 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 bum.